The sun beat down on the dusty road as Jack trudged along, his feet blistering beneath his worn-out shoes. He had been walking across America for months now, driven by a singular dream, to reach the Pacific Ocean and plant a small flag bearing his name in its sandy shores. As he walked, Jack began to notice strange things about himself. His reflection in puddles seemed different, his eyes sunken and tired. The people he met along the way would stare at him with an unnerving intensity, their faces twisted into cruel grins when they thought no one was looking. At first, Jack dismissed these occurrences as mere paranoia, but soon he realized that something was terribly wrong. It started to rain on a particularly bleak night in rural Texas. The droplets pounded against his skin like tiny drums, and for the first time, Jack felt an overwhelming sense of dread creeping up from beneath his feet. As he quickened his pace, the storm grew more intense, until it seemed as if the very sky itself was weeping tears of rain upon him. When the sun finally broke through the clouds, Jack saw that something had changed. His eyes were no longer their own, they now held a cold, calculating glint, like two black stones polished to perfection by some unseen hand. The people he met along the way stared at him with an unblinking gaze, and when he planted his flag in the sand, it seemed as if something ancient had awakened beneath the surface of the ocean's waves. Jack realized that his dream had become a nightmare from which there was no escape, for now, he would be forever bound to this desolate journey across America, driven by an unyielding compulsion to reach the Pacific Ocean and claim its shores as his own. As the sun set over the vast expanse of the American landscape, Jack Harris trudged on, his weary feet carrying him across the country. He had been walking for months now, driven by a singular dream, to reach the Pacific Ocean and find solace in its waves. At first, the journey was exhilarating, every new town brought fresh faces and tales of adventure. But as the days turned into weeks, Jack began to feel an unsettling sense of unease. The endless miles seemed to stretch on forever, like a never-ending labyrinth with no escape from his own thoughts. He started to question whether he had made a terrible mistake by leaving behind everything familiar. As night fell, Jack would often find himself lost in the shadows of abandoned buildings or beneath the creaking branches of ancient trees. It was then that he began to hear whispers, soft, raspy voices that seemed to carry on the wind. They spoke his name, over and over, their words dripping with an otherworldly longing. Jack tried to shake off the feeling, telling himself it was just the product of a tired mind, but deep down, he knew better. One fateful evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky above, Jack stumbled upon a decrepit old cabin hidden away from prying eyes. The whispers grew louder still, guiding him towards its creaking door. As he pushed it open, a warm light spilled out, beckoning him inside. And there, in the heart of that cabin, Jack discovered his dream, not the ocean's waves, but an endless expanse of nothingness, stretching out before him like a dark and foreboding sea. The whispers had been right all along, he was meant to walk forever, lost in this desolate landscape of his own mind. And as the darkness closed in around him, Jack realized that some dreams are better left unfulfilled. John had always been fascinated by the idea of walking across America. As a child, he would spend hours poring over maps and dreaming of the day when he could set foot on every state line. But as he grew older, his fascination turned into an all-consuming obsession. He spent years training for the journey, building up his endurance with long runs and hikes in the wilderness. Finally, after months of preparation, John set off from New York City, determined to walk across America to California. He packed light, carrying only a backpack full of supplies and a small notebook to record his progress. As he walked, he felt a sense of freedom that he had never experienced before. But as the days turned into weeks, John began to notice strange things happening around him. People would stare at him from their cars, their faces twisted in a mixture of fascination and fear. Some even tried to follow him, but John was too quick for them. He felt like he was being watched all the time, and it made his skin crawl. One night, as he lay on his makeshift bed of leaves and pine needles, John couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this journey. It wasn't just the physical exhaustion or the isolation, there was a creeping sense of dread that seemed to seep into every pore of his body. He tried to tell himself it was just paranoia, but deep down he knew better. The dream had been calling him all along, and now John realized that he might not be able to escape its grasp.